I hate you.
Holy shit, Danny.
Hello, everybody. Welcome
Hello,
to the...
everybody.
Okay, he's going to do it anyway.
Wow, you're back
No.
1 week and you think you're in charge again? All right, Jim's had things on lockdown last week.
And I started,
He was a fucking
too.
tyrant. He was a tyrant.
Well, James wasn't. Danny was. If we're committing to bits, we're committing to all the bits from last week.
What bit?
I was Danny. You were James. Or is that not a bit? Is that just who we are now? Because I've been making some very James decisions this week.
Oof. Probably should have thought that through. Hi, hey, hello. Welcome to Market Down Production. Does anyone else want to take it from here?
Sure. My name is Nick Cummings, joined this week by Dana Hernandez and James Jasanti. As we've already started, I wasn't here last week, but I'm back now. We are here back once again to review tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite. This week, they brought back the Fight for the Fallen branding in an effort to help raise money for the fires that are taking place in Hawaii. And all of our thoughts and prayers are with those people. But we are going to concentrate on the wrestling tonight. And there was a lot of it as we are getting closer and closer to All In. This was a jam-packed show, one of the most jam-packed first hours I've ever seen of wrestling. And we start tonight with your opening contest, which saw Orange Cassidy face off against Wheeler Yuta in an AEW International Championship match. As is tradition, Orange Cassidy opens up the show very strongly in this match. Yuta actually spent much of the match working over Cassidy's hand because it's been injured. But then again, what part of Orange Cassidy isn't injured at the moment? With this absolute tear he's been going on as champion, he's just consistently beat and run down. Orange then seemingly injured his knee, but he's able to fight through it. And he's able to hit a couple of moves, including, I think, a beach break, and ends that all with a DDT to take Wheeler down. As he gets back up and starts lining up for the Orange Punch, Claudio Castagnoli and John Moxley appear from the crowd and come out to ringside. And Cassidy decides to taunt Mox, by throwing his elbow pad at him and then hitting a paradigm shift on Wheeler. Cassidy then hits the Orange Punch, but he can't make the pin because his hand is so fucked up. So Wheeler takes advantage, gets in the seatbelt, but Orange is able to kick out. Wheeler then goes for another roll-up, but Orange counters with a sit-down. He's able to get Wheeler down for the 3 count, get the pin, and retain his International Championship. After the match, the BCC immediately jump Orange because duh. And then the Best Friends come out to try to help him, but they're still outnumbered because Cassidy's down. Then the Lucha Brothers join in, and they start to turn the tide until motherfucking Eddie Kingston returns out of nowhere. Eddie's been in the G1 for the last few months. We haven't seen him. Excalibur said he didn't even know Eddie was on American soil, which was great. Eddie comes in, immediately goes after Claudio. They start duking it out, and it's great. Eventually, the 6 men are able to clear out the ring. Oh, Producer Boy is here. Hello, Producer Boy.
I was very thrown. I didn't see him enter.
Yeah, no, honestly, me neither. And then I just saw somebody put a comment in the chat that said "Holy TNA," and it was from us. And I was like, "Oh, great, Producer Boy's here."
I thought it was Danny.
I thought it was James, but I also saw Eric come in. So it could have gone either way. But what a great graphic. 29 title defenses in 308 days versus 29 in 1081. The workhorse of our generation. I could not have said it better myself. Anyway, Rev, you were finishing up with the details of this amazing post-match.
Yeah, the laziest wrestler of our generation. And I put that finger close. Anyway, as Eddie and the Lucha Brothers and the Best Friends all clear the ring, Eddie grabs a mic and announces that it'll be the 6 men in the ring against the BCC and, quote, whoever they can find, unquote, in a stadium stampede match at Wembley Stadium. Now, we haven't seen one of these since Jacksonville, so I am excited as all hell. But Danny, since it's your boy Orange Cassidy in an opening contest, what do you think of this match? How do you feel about Eddie Kingston's return and this match coming up at Wembley in a couple of weeks?
In a word, Yes. And none of those were yes no questions, but in a word, yes.
/inclusive or.
This was awesome. I mean, just it's been too long since Orange Cassidy opened the show, putting on a clinic. And to do it against Yuta, someone who he's already had a great match with, I actually love, and I don't even know how intentional this is, but I'm sure it is partially what they're going for here, is that Wheeler Yuta abandoned the best friends to better himself by joining the BCC,
Yes.
but yet he cannot beat Orange Cassidy despite all that. Despite what, a year now with the BCC,
Yep.
he cannot beat OC. So, you know, who's to say whether he made the right decision or not? You know, he did, but you know, it still hasn't paid off in the fact that he can't beat Orange Cassidy. So I love that.
Especially for me, I love the seatbelt. He couldn't beat him even with the seatbelt pin. I
Yeah,
thought that was a great little touch.
yeah, it's nice because he does use moves that the best friends has taught him, and when he uses it against them, it is a very, very nice touch. I'm a big fan of that. It's just great to see him. I gotta get that new shirt of his. I gotta. I don't love buying wrestling merch all the time, but I gotta pick up a shirt or two right now. But I loved Eddie Kingston's return. Just, oh my god, the pop Eddie Kingston gets every time without fail. This man is beloved. He can do no wrong. He can spit in your mother's face and you would still cheer for him. If he spit in your dad's face, we probably just also spit in our dad's face, or at least I speak for 66.666666666% of this podcast.
Happy birthday,
right now.
Dad. Happy birthday.
Yeah. Hey, happy birthday, Papa G.
Yeah, happy birthday, James's dad, specifically, and only James's dad. Only dad we like out here. Well, that's not true. John Blattner's dad we like too, but you know, Eddie, yeah, but Eddie just being back is just, him and Claudio have the Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens type of feud where it's on site and it could happen whenever, and we're all gonna be there for it. And you know what the great thing is? I've barely seen any of their matches because they happen in ROH, but you know, so it never feels. Yeah,
very good.
I thought it was Shakira, but I guess the feud dates all the way back to then. But
Shakira's hips don't lie. Shakira.
Yeah.
But
I knew I pronounced it wrong immediately.
But that's not happening now. I'm saying all their stuff now is happening in ROH. So when it some of the few stuff that when it's on Dynamite, it just feels like it's so because I'm not seeing it all the time. But loved Eddie Kingston's return. I'm excited for Stadium Stampede. I know, James, because I'm there with you. We're upset that we're not going to get Moxley versus Cassidy in a singles match at all, and I am too. But just think of the hijinks they're going to have in a Stadium Stampede match, you know. And I think we'll get over it very quickly.
There's a lot to be said about how All In is being booked, and we will, I'm sure, talk about that as we. Is there a cricket?
It does sound like there's a cricket,
right? I'm sure.
I feel like it has to be Rev.
Holy shit! Is my mic that good?
Yeah, but there's a lot to be said about how All In is being booked, and I'm sure we'll talk about that on our prediction show when we film it next week. But if you can't give us these singles matches, they are giving us excellent tag matches, matches, getting as many people on the card in satisfying ways. We'll talk about that as we get further into the night. But this is going to be a great match. I don't want to cut you off. Do you have anything more to say about the match or the post before I take over?
No, it's fine. You can take over. I'm sure I'll interrupt you at some point.
Absolutely. I thought the match itself was incredible. Like I said, Yuta has developed very well. Sometimes it feels like either he regresses or he's just there, but that's just because of who he's teaming with. I've compared him to Daniel Garcia, where Garcia feels like he's become this standout guy, but that's also because he's standing next to Jake Hager 2.0 and Anna Jay. It's easy to look great in that scenario. Yuta is struggling because he's standing next to Claudio Castagnoli, Jon Moxley, and Bryan Danielson. He's still doing fantastic. I thought this match was great. I loved the little bit he put his hands in his tights and he's just slowly kicking Cassidy down the ramp. I thought that was fantastic. I thought that was great work from him. But yeah, I enjoyed the match. I'm very happy that Orange's reign has been as dominant, and he's had some really great matches, and Wheeler has added himself to those list of matches that were on, in my opinion, the stronger side. The post-match was definitely the true highlight. Say what you will, Mr. Cricket, but I do believe that, like, sometimes
Little Jiminy?
Little Jiminy.
I'll find it. Give me a second.
It's okay. Sometimes the Lucha Bros just sort of get tacked onto things. Sometimes they get put in places that it doesn't really make sense. They were tacked on, but at least it makes sense. There is some connective tissue here, given what happened with Pac and Eddie Kingston being their friend.
Wait, James, I'm so sorry. I just thought of something funny.
We can't hear you. You look like Sasquatch right now with how you were standing.
Hi, yeah. I don't know where. I think he's just like right outside my window, and there's nothing I could do about it.
You know what's funny about that is I was going to remove us, and I think Producer Boy have read my mind and removed us first. So I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be funny," and then he removed before I even got a chance to click it. He removed us. So
you looked really good, though, Nick. You looked really good.
The whole problem is I have a click it.
You have a click it?
That's from a very obscure book. But where were you, James?
I was saying how everything sort of formed together as if it was a perfect storm a little bit.
Man, if this would have been great if this was like a boring match, then the cricket would be
right?
Nice,
it's just terrible timing. But overall,
this is like the beach balls during fucking like the really good matches after Mania.
It's like we don't appreciate it right now. But I'm looking forward to the match, and I don't know what to expect from the BCC, who they're going to join with. I feel like we haven't had an actual match other than the one Stadium Stampede with the BCC, where you have the entire full force team.
Well, you mean the Anarchy in the Arena?
Oh, Anarchy in the Arena.
There's a difference, you know?
Yes, totally.
100%. We haven't had a Stadium Stampede since Daly's place.
You're right.
Oh my
God!
Like,
that's crazy. That is crazy. But we haven't had full BCC since Anarchy in the Arena, and we've had a lot of these matches where we've either had to have substitutes or new additions to the club. So I'm really hoping. I have a weird feeling Brian might actually be healthy enough for it. I don't know. That break looked friggin' terrible.
I mean, he could wrestle in a cast or something since it's Stadium Stampede.
It is making me super uncomfortable.
I cannot believe we have another camera in Rev's room right now. That's why.
Anybody else getting Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton vibes right now? Because I am.
Oh, man.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm just going to put it out there now. This isn't part of the prediction. I really just want the other two members to be Nigel McGuinness and Chris Hero.
I feel like I don't think that's out of the realms of possibility.
Nigel has been preparing for an in-ring return, and he's openly talked about wanting to wrestle at Wembley. And he's somebody that has actively bled against most of those men in the BCC. Or at least half of them. And Hero being Hero and Claudio's tag team partner just feels right. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't know who else it could be. But
they get Pac again. What could go wrong?
That would be really weird. He's on the wrong team here. But I would love it just for how weird and silly it would be.
Him and Brian both injured. Just fuck it. Going out there. It's a Stadium Stampede match. You can hide it.
Going against Death Triangle, going against the Lucha Bros.
I do think we see Pac though at Stadium Stampede.
It's very possible.
If he didn't show up. Yeah, my only
Nick, you gotta address it. You gotta address it.
Hello, Papa G. Yeah, I'm seeing it now. It took a little second to come up on the screen at lag, but Papa G, we love you, man. It's good to see you.
Man, that hello Papa G was so like
So
hello,
lackluster,
Papa G.
right?
I was like,
I
if
got
you're gonna
thrown
put me on the
off.
spot and make me awkward about it, yeah, I'll
I'm
say hi
very
to him.
flustered right now, man, with this fucking cricket. Okay?
We can't even hear it right now, though. We're good right now.
It stopped. I know, but it threw me all off, and I'm very flustered.
Look, I get it. The cricket chirping is throwing off your chirping, but we're gonna need you to get it together, man.
I'm literally getting.
We're professionals. We're professionals here at the Market Down Podcast. Come on, God. Okay.
All right. Well, all right. I do have something else. One of you made an earlier point, Dane. I think it was you that we're probably not going to see. We're not going to see Orange versus Moxley for the title now at All In. I do still think there's a very good chance we get that at All Out.
I think it's more likely at All Out now.
Yeah,
I think it's more likely now.
I'm still here. Like, I'm here for it being it All Out. I understand it's not going to be as grand of a stage, but I think Stadium Stampede at this stage is a lot better than just this one-on-one title match, because you're still getting that one-on-one title match out of pay-per-view. So we're kind of getting best of both worlds here.
I think there's a very real discussion that needs to take place about how good an idea it was for All In and All Out to be a week apart. Personally, I'm going to reserve judgment until both shows happen. But I think a lot of the booking for All In was affected by the existence of All Out, when that shouldn't have been the case. All In is supposed to be the biggest wrestling event in history. We're talking about it. They've said it multiple times. There are 80,000 people. You don't want to have just tag matches. And I know Danny made a great point last week. You know, the main event of All In of the original All In was a random tag match. But if you're going to have All In, you want to have some dream matches on the card. That said, I have no problem with Stadium Stampede. It was great in the past. I'm sure it'll be great now. Look at the players involved. But I wouldn't have minded if Orange Cassidy, if he's going to lose the title, do it on the biggest stage possible and have him lose it to Moxley.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, because I feel like with All In, and you can kind of look at the old one, too, you did have some big-time dream matches, but you also had a lot of how many people can we get on this card type of matches. You know, a lot of four-ways, a lot of, big six-man tags or what have you. And I feel like for now, we're getting a combination of that along with the Stadium Stampede, which is going to have 12 people in and of itself. So I think so far from what's been announced, we are getting a decent balance. I'm sure we're going to get more, but they don't go to England ever. This is their first time venturing over there, if I'm not mistaken. They want to give the people as many wrestlers on their shows as they possibly can, on their roster, I guess, as they possibly can.
For sure. But somehow, and I guess we're going to not jump ahead, but I'm going to reference something from ahead. Somehow, we didn't get either a Kenny Omega or Jon Moxley singles match, but we got a Chris Jericho one.
Fair.
Yeah.
And if rumors are to be considered, or if rumors are true, we're getting a Jeff Jarrett singles match.
Well, I feel like he's earned it more than Jericho.
Against Grado, whatever his name is. Come on, that's crazy.
Who?
Exactly.
Look, I don't know how true that is, but you know what? I trust Jeff Jarrett in the year 2023.
We're going to talk about him in a bit too. But
that would have been a perfect fucking time for the cricket when you said Grotto.
God damn it, cricket!
He's going into business on his own.
He truly is.
All right, I feel like we've talked about this sufficiently. I'm excited. I think we're all excited. For the love of God, let Santana and Ortiz be part of the Stadium Stampede. Yeah, but I don't. Why would they team with the BCC though?
Because fuck Eddie. Is their mentality.
That is true, at least for Ortiz. Yeah. Damn. All right. At least fine. There's a reason for it.
Eddie's gonna get the shit kicked out of him 3-on-1. Ortiz, Claudio, and Santana. All right. Like James said, let us move on real quick. I think this was the part of the show where we had it, but I know it was in the first however long. Please change over thingy. Anyway, it was a quick Jack Perry vignette. You too, Papa G. And he announced that he would be announcing retiring the FTW championship next week on Dynamite. saying that it is best to go out last and go out on top. So
yeah, because this lazy motherfucker doesn't want to work, so he's like, I'm just gonna retire the title, so I'm gonna work anymore.
You're not gonna let me go through glass.
Just trying to shatter glass ceilings out here.
Taz, I don't literally think Taz can get back in the ring. I think he might die.
Here's the thing: Taz could absolutely choke. Still, he could still do the Taz mission, like he did at ECW One Night Stand. I don't know. He could do a match though.
Absolutely not. I don't even know if he could take a bump.
Yeah.
Like if he did, it would have to be the safest bump ever. So. All right. After that quick thing, we went to Kenny Omega's sit-down interview with good old JR Jim Ross. They had it back in Jacksonville. I thought this was very good. I like when they use JR in these situations. I've been saying that for a while now, as he's kind of been bumped out of the main announce desk. He's great in these situations. I wish they would use him more. So, answering a lot of JR's questions. Kenny explains his relationship with Don Callis, that carny piece of shit, as Kenny was growing up, saying that Don was basically, Uncle Don, as he called him, was the one who guided his, life in terms of athletics and stuff. So, giving him all his vitamins and, what am I looking for here? Not performance answers.
It sounded very groomery. I'm sorry.
It kind of did.
He was feeding this child who was just trying to have a childhood, protein and vitamins, just to make sure he was ready to be
supplements. That's what I was looking for. Supplements. Yeah. And
maybe I wouldn't call it,
but hockey.
I wouldn't call it groomer. I mean, I guess it is in a way, but I was just gonna say it sounds more like a thing that really old people older than Don would do, which is slip fat burners in their chubby kids food or coffee. I don't know, to reference a very specific episode of BoJack Horseman, when Beatrice had been slipping fat burners into Hollyhock's tea all that time, she would lose weight so she wouldn't be chunky, because she was stuck in a very, very early 1900s mindset when doing that. So that's what it sounded like more to me. But also, yeah, I guess you could say he was grooming him as well. But you could also say he was grooming him in the way people used to use that term before it was co-opted by co-opted by people. You know who they are.
The term, the definition of the word switch, but I would say it's almost kind of like when, with Tiger Woods, where his dad, from the day Tiger was born, he was like, you're going to be a golfer. And everything, he did in raising Tiger was to make him the greatest golfer ever. So I guess in that sense, it kind of worked for both of these guys. Anyway, Kenny then goes on to say that he's been trying to justify what Don did to him, but he doesn't want to make his life one of revenge. So he's kind of just backing up, and he's like, it is what it is with Don, even though that with all his history with Takeshita, Don did pick somebody who would, truly hurt him, and then says, as the god of pro wrestling, he has the power to give it and the power to take it away. As he's saying that carny piece of shit, Don Callis, comes up and interrupts, telling JR that he's going to need 3 hours of therapy to psychoanalyze all of Kenny's problems. And Kenny, actually rather responsibly, instead of attacking Don, gets up to leave. And he never gets a chance to do so because he gets jumped by Jay White and Juice Robinson, who are then later joined by Takeshita, and they beat Kenny down. We then quickly shoot back to Excalibur, who explains that Kenny was taken to a hospital where Hangman Adam Page was, which I'm sure is nowhere near, North Carolina. And Hangman then rips Bullet Club Gold for their shitty beatdowns, saying they didn't finish the job. So Kenny will be back along with himself and Kenny's other greatest tag team partner ever, Kota Ibushi, and they will have a 6-man tag match at Wembley Stadium at All In.
You gotta love when a best friend is like, wow, you bitch, you couldn't even knock him out. He's gonna be right back up. What's wrong with you? Bunch of pussies. Thanks, Hangman.
I also really liked how like a security guard or someone came up to Hangman. I was like, "This is a hospital. You can't drink a beer here." That was a nice
Is that
touch.
even a rule? Like, is that a rule? You can't drink alcohol at?
I've seen beers
I
in
assume-
hospitals, but
Like, I know you
I mean-
can't smoke there, but what's wrong with alcohol?
I don't know. Like the reason you can't drink beer and if you go into a fucking store like and you can't drink beer, I feel like it's what kind of uncivilized behemoth are you that you need to drink a beer right there, James? How many times have you done this? You're like, I didn't know this was illegal. Fuck.
I
Like,
never-
I thought I was the alcoholic.
I feel like it at the very
he's
least.
trying to take your gimmick. He was trying to
I
take my
know.
gimmick last week, and I was trying to take your. He's unstoppable right now. He's.
He already,
feel
he
like
already tried
at
to take
most-
2 of them.
I feel like at most it should be like masturbating on an airplane. It's not illegal, but it's definitely frowned upon.
I feel like it's definitely illegal.
I don't.
Yeah, maybe
Zach-
after 9/11. Thanks,
When
Obama.
you're telling me Zach Galifianakis would lie? Did you say what you fucking do?
I just combined
Oh,
2
man.
memes and yeah.
No,
Anyway,
I
Wow,
appreciate
it's
it. It was
amazing
nice.
what happens when I miss a week. I come back and I'm just
Yeah, guns ablazing.
Can I
But-
just say that
Yeah.
before James just talks about his favorite and however he feels about this, that I cannot believe at this time, in my opinion, the best factions in AEW are Bullet Club Gold and Jeff Jarrett and the Slapnuts. Like, I don't even know who comes close. Like the Elite on paper, yeah. Like BCC, I guess, is technically the best. But like, it's insane. It's like because the Elite aren't. They're a little all over the place. You know, they're they're all great, but they're not like a faction right now. And like a CM FTR, I'm good. House of Black is like cool. Like they're about to. I feel like this feud with the Acclaimed is really going to pick up, and we'll talk about it later. But it's like, yeah, like somehow Bullet Club Gold has snuck in and just become like so solid that I'm actually hyped for this.
Have
You're
you
booked
turned
well.
around on Jay White and the Guns?
Uh,
How are you
What do you
feeling
mean,
about?
around? I've always been
No,
fans of them. I don't know what you're talking about.
lies. Sir,
No, I mean,
lies.
I still think Jay White is like never gonna be, or not never, but he's not gonna be world champ in 2024, and maybe he could be world champ in late 2025. But like, you know, he's not gonna be champ anytime soon. So I don't really have strong opinions there. Like he's really good. Like this roller, I mean, Juice is the best of all of them. And no, the Guns are great right now because they're in a perfect spot for them.
Exactly.
And that this is where they belong. Like them being in the main event wasn't egregious tonight. It was fun. It was good. Like it made sense for. I mean, maybe it didn't make sense for it to main event. Like it's not a go home show, but it's close to it. But like that was a fun match. I was like, yeah, you get throw in the main event. It's a big deal. It's brothers versus brothers. You give it the little tagline that makes it feel more special than it is because you do this match a year ago, and it's like if this main evented the show would be a disaster.
Yeah.
Because it's the Guns. But now they're in the perfect spot. They're showing their charisma, which they've had. They showed it when they were with the Acclaim too. Let's not forget.
Yeah.
They just should not have won the tag titles when they did. That's really where they went wrong. Because otherwise, they were never in a spot for them to.
They got
to be
go away
egregious.
heat. They got go away heat for booking. And that's a terrible situation to find yourself in. It's never fair. It's never really the talent's fault either. But yeah,
get us that interview with Juice and Tony so I can talk about how he's the best person in his faction.
I will.
I want to get his opinion on that.
I will absolutely do my best on that.
Hey, Juice, you're in a faction and you're the best one. Did you know that? And also, how do you feel about that?
But I know I was talking about the tag team match stuff before. I agree with what Producer Boy put up as a tweet before. Kenny versus Takeshita is absolutely going to be a great match when it happens. I could see that being at All Out. I could see that being down the road. I could see that one-on-one match being very, very good. It doesn't feel like a stadium match. Having the Golden Lovers is a stadium match. The Takeshita of it all feels weird, because having the Golden Lovers versus Jay White is in itself, there's so much history there with Kenny and Jay and Ibushi. It's great, and Juice has earned his spot in this. But having Takeshita there does feel weird, but I understand putting Hangman in the match too. I feel like Takeshita should have been Jericho's opponent.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, when you put it like that, I agree, because I didn't understand what you meant, but when you said, okay, yeah, I'm with you there.
I feel like Takeshita absolutely should have been Jericho's opponent, and
then fuck off Will Ospreay, yeah.
Like I love Will, and I'm glad he's on the card, but man, there had to have been a better way to book him on the show than Jericho.
I'm not glad he's on the card because of the way we got him, honestly.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. So much of how the Don Callis stuff, and we'll talk about that too, but he's involved here. So much of everything involving Don Callis and his story with Kenny and the BCC and everything has felt so random. It's felt so like, wow, this guy is all of a sudden showing up, but he's not really part of the group. And that's happening. Like, Takeshita is absolutely not part of the BCC and is absolutely apparently not part of Bullet Club Gold. So when is this Don Callis family actually going to start? And again, we're going to talk about that later, but man, that was frustrating. So I don't know. Yeah. I think BCG needs one more mid-card member, one main eventer in Jay, one mid-carder in Juice, another guy, and then the tag team. And I think you have an excellent group. But we'll see how that goes. What?
Who would you put as that guy?
Personally, I don't know how you're going to feel about it. I really, really, really think Big Bill would be a great fit for the group.
Honestly, Big Bill could do no wrong now either. Like he's fucking, he knocks everything out of the park in AEW so far. So
yep.
I want more of him and Brian Cage, but yeah, if he did that too, that's good too.
Yeah, I think one, you have a muscle guy in the group. Two, you have another mid-card guy who you don't have to worry about. He would be a better Jake Hager, where Jake Hager was like the heavy of the group, but like Bill is way more entertaining, and he could be that guy for the Bullet Club Gold the way Hager was for everything Jericho's done.
It would be funny if Big Bill was in it and he just kept calling Juice Enzo, and he's just like, all short people look alike to me. I really can't tell the difference.
And I also just want to be able to call him Big Bullet Bill.
The Triple B.
Yeah.
He's the guy who dethroned MJF.
Long Islanders, baby. Long Islanders. But
all right, we gotta move on. We did a lot for the
yeah. All right, let's move on.
Could you get away with Bullet Bill? Isn't that Nintendo's
Big Bullet Bill? Big Bullet Bill, you can.
Nintendo is very litigious.
Yeah, but I'm very excited for this match.
No.
If you're not going to get a Kenny Omega singles match, this is a great replacement. It fills all the requirement of having as many men in a match as possible. And I do think no matter what happens, it's going to propel the story forward in a great way. Kenny is definitely going to have a program with Jay moving forward. Kenny is definitely going to have that match with Takeshita moving forward. So, and I think Juice versus Hangman is a good feud too. So I think a lot of good is going to come out of this, and I'm excited for it.
Juice yelling at Hangman and Hangman just either laughing in his face or yelling back at him is going to be sublime. So I'm here for that.
Because one is a very serious yelling, and one is like very cocaine yelling. And they're yellings that don't really mix, but it's going to be great when it happens.
Cocaine is a good way to describe it. But like you said, let's move on. And we're actually going to stick with that carny piece of shit, Don Callis, and move on to Chris Jericho's answer of whether or not he will be joining Don Callis' family. Jericho comes out and says that after the JAS walked out on him, he's done a lot of reflecting and soul searching. And he's decided that yes, he will indeed join Don Callis' family, as he feels he needs to get back to his roots and reconnect with, an old friend and somebody who, will bring him back to the person he was. I think he even said, like, bring me back like the scumbag I was, I think. But he's like, I want to get back to those roots. Callis is obviously thrilled and a little surprised, to be honest. And he's like, all right, great. Let's go to the bar. We'll get drunk and beat up some rednecks. It'll be like the old days. And Don goes to leave, and Jericho's like, wait, what's with the covered painting in the corner of the ring? Don's like, oh, I did another, painting of us. Like, it's not a big deal. We need to see it. Chris like, no, you got me a gift. Let's see it. So Chris basically drags Don back over and unveils the painting to be John Callis holding Jericho's severed head. Don's like trying to weasel his way out of explaining to Jericho why he had that made. And Jericho's like, Don, I know when you're lying. Shut the fuck up and tell me the truth. Don then goes on to say that he truly didn't think Jericho was going to join his family because Jericho has the biggest ego in the history of wrestling. Jericho then reverses this on Don and tells him this is why he's lost everything. He said that he was out of the business 5 years ago and nobody cared. And then Jericho brought him back, and now he's reached the top of his the peak of what he's been in the business, and still nobody cares compared to Jericho. And Jericho says calls him a low-class asshole. Don then slaps Jericho across the face. Jericho gets enraged, grabs him by the neck, brings him all the way into the corner, and starts choking Don out. This prompts Takeshita to come out and try to pull Jericho off of Don, and they start brawling until Jericho just gets absolutely fucking blindsided and is revealed to be, as we've mentioned before, Will motherfucking Ospreay. He has come to, I don't know if he's joining Don's family, but he's certainly on Don's side at the moment. He takes out Jericho and then hits him over the head with a chair, and then Will and Takeshita hold down Jericho so that Don can take the painting and bash it over Jericho's head. This all ends with Sammy Guevara running out with Floyd the Bat to fend the three members off, but the damage is done and Jericho is left in a bloody heap. So, Danny, this was another good segment, and like I said, I thought it was pretty solid. In a very rapid fire first hour, and we're not even halfway through the first hour. So, I think I'm glad Ospreay's on the card. I think, as we've already kind of said, maybe Jericho's not the best matchup, but it's a big matchup for Ospreay in his home country. And I still think this will be a very good match. A match we were supposed to see a few years ago before the pandemic.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to preface this. I thought this was a really good segment. So I feel bad that I'm so down on it because I agree. It was a really good segment. I actually really liked Jericho just laying into Don. I got a chuckle when he was like, you thought I was going to say no, so you're going to have me assassinated? Like, what? Like, what's going on? Like, I was into this. Like, this was on paper a classic Jericho segment. Like, this was a hit. But the end result is just something I'm not excited for. And it's a shame because I don't want to be negative on the Jericho stuff every week because he's one of my all-time favorites. But excuse me, it's just weird. We could have had, I don't know. I just think of like the Ospreay Omega match or this obviously superior Ospreay Cassidy match. And I just think, is this really going to compete with those? And maybe, because you know what? Sometimes we doubt Jericho when he pulls out of the bag. His Ring of Honor World Title run had a lot of really good matches in it.
It did. It really did.
So he's still got it in him. And you know what? I'm going to say that I am not excited for this match. I don't think this should be the match, but I am prepared for this match to be good despite that and for me to enjoy it despite that. But the segment itself, I actually thought was really good. Like, I can't say I'm the most into the story, but like if I'm just talking about whether the segment was good or not, I'd say it was a really good segment.
James, before you go, I want to just throw something Producer Boy put in our chat under our thing, saying that he thinks Sammy's going to screw Jericho. And I just realized that if that happens, that probably means Sammy's joining the Don Callis family. And man, I don't know if I want that. Like, Sammy seems to be getting over as a face right now.
Exactly.
No, you guys don't fall for that. No one likes it. No one wants to like Sammy. And this is one of the rare cases of AEW being fucking tone deaf to what the audience is saying and keep trying to pretend Sammy's a babyface when he's not a babyface. No one cares that he's having a kid. Kids suck. You can't use that for cheap pops. Okay, no one cares that he's
So let
what?
the Cody Rhodes. You can't use kids for cheap pops.
Yeah, you can't. They're just kids are gross, but like, be nice to animals. Kids treat them however, but like,
Fuck the baby.
but no, Sammy is not getting over as a face. Crowds still want to boo him because he just look. I love Sammy. I love Sammy's hairstyle. I want Sammy's haircut, but he is. You look at him and you want to boo. That is not a baby face. That is a douchebag you want to boo. I don't care how likable he is in real life. All right, hey, him and Tay on AEW was fantastic 2 weeks ago. And he proves that they're aware they can take the joke, they can take the heat. So why not lean into that? Forget trying to pretend he's a baby face. My man is a heel. So if he betrays Jericho, fine, because you know what? There's motivation right there. Jericho's having a singles match instead of he's not tagging with Sammy to face Ospreay and Takeshita or Ospreay and whoever. He's having a singles match where Sammy probably won't have a match on the card now. So you know what? He should betray Jericho. I'm on board with this random tweet that had no impact on my opinion of this until just now. So yeah, stop trying to pretend Sammy's a babyface. Look, you guys are entitled to your opinions, but in this one particular case, you guys are factually wrong, and you're drinking the Kool-Aid, and I'm saving your lives right now. Sammy's not a babyface.
What's up, Nas?
I think what's up, Nas? Always a pleasure, buddy. I do think Sammy has potential as a good babyface, and I do think the one part about all of that I do have to disagree with you is that I do think the crowd wants to cheer him, but his booking has just never really allowed for it to happen.
No. You see, again, you can't put. That was the main point of what I was saying. You can't. I disagree with this one part.
Historically, the only reason he beat Miro is because of how hot the crowd got behind him.
No, I'm not talking about Sammy back then. That Sammy's gone.
And
you
even
can't go
now,
back to that.
And even now, he turned from being the one guy. He was in that fatal 4-way with MJF for the title. He was the bottom that everyone was like, there is no friggin' way that this guy should be in this match. He's only here because he was once labeled a pillar. But he became the guy that people were really behind. That was the match that turned everybody against Jungle Boy, but really got people behind Sammy again, in my opinion.
No, you're literally drinking the Kool-Aid. Because that's what Darby said in his promo after. But no.
But that was them acknowledging what was happening too.
No, that was them desperately trying to get him cheered, and he got tepid cheers compared to Darby. And as much as I'm shitting on Jungle Boy was getting cheers in that program up until the last 2 weeks.
It was halfway through it turned around. But
I feel like that's the same thing.
But regardless of all that, because I do want to get the point across.
James is on drugs again. I agree.
I still think Sammy is just a better heel regardless. I don't care if the crowd wants to get behind him. That's great. Maybe eventually they could do it. The point is, he's too good as a heel to just spoil it. And when you have a guy who could be a natural heat magnet the way he is, put him with another natural heat magnet like Callis. So I'm fine either way. I think the biggest sin and the biggest tragedy of this entire feud is I would have really liked Sammy versus Ospreay in a one-on-one match. I also would have really, if I'm going to be honest, going back to earlier, I would have really liked Ospreay versus Hangman. I think Ospreay versus Hangman would have been a great match too.
Oh yeah.
But Ospreay versus Sammy would have been great. Ospreay versus Jericho is going to be good. It's so weird to think that you have these two all-time performers and we're just like, oh God, this is the match. But it is going to be good. Jericho is going to surprise us. Chris Jerk, that is actually really funny.
That's brutal. I mean, in a good way. That
is really funny. But yeah, it was good. Could have been better. I'm still going to appreciate it for what it is.
Wow. Interesting use of the word appreciate there when talking about Jericho.
There you go.
I'm also curious to see just what ends up happening with the rest of the members of the JAS, but I guess that's a discussion.
They're not going to be there.
No, just generally, like, I thought it was cool last week that, 2.0 came out with Anna for her title match.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with Garcia.
Hager
with Sammy.
Hager will probably realign with Jericho because realistically, what else does he have? Everybody else I could see going their own way.
Unless he's taking some time off to try to go fight again, but I don't know. All right, let's get it moving here. We next had Darby Allin and Nick Wayne, who I don't know how he's alive after he got killed the other week, against the Gates of Agony. So as Darby and Nick were making their entrance, they got jumped, and then Swerve and AR Fox appeared on the stage with chairs as the Gates of Agony threw the other two guys into the ring, and then the match started, and they pretty much dominated. And I'm not going to lie, I missed a decent chunk of this match because I was still trying to type everything from the last 6 segments because holy fuck, a lot of shit happened. And not even this match was the end of the first hour. It was that's how much shit there was. Eventually, obviously, Darby and Wayne make their comeback after Darby gets a hot tag. And the ending was pretty cool where Wayne hit a diving cutter, and then both him and Darby went to the top. Darby hit a coffin drop into the ring. Nick hit a moonsault to the outside, and that's how they ended up getting the win. But that's not really the important part. Here's the important part. After the match, Darby immediately grabs his skateboard and hands it to Nick, and then pulls his own belt off, and they try to fend off what's remaining of the Gates of Agony and Swerve and AR Fox with their 2 chairs. However, Swerve and Fox stop heading to the ring when they hear somebody go Swerve's house on the screen, and it's Sting, and it's not just Sting, it's Joker Sting. He had the red smile, and he was...
It was very subtle, too. I liked it. I liked how small it was, but it was there.
It was there, and not only that, he was clearly in that character. Yeah. And it was great. I'm not going to do any of it justice because quite frankly, I was laughing so hard I wasn't able to write down pretty much anything he said. But he does announce that he started to make movies and he has a new leading man before eventually revealing, after mentioning the fact that the match they're having at Wembley is going to be a coffin match, which is sick. He reveals that he kidnapped Prince Nana, and he's just holding him there on a couch.
Wait. That is the most LOL TNA thing ever, but in a positive way.
Bravo! I mean, if there's anything that company has always been good at, it's taking viral moments and immediately posting whatever footage they have of those viral people onto their social media accounts or their YouTube. Like anytime Bobby Roode did something good, there was a classic TNA Bobby Roode match on their YouTube.
Impact is the nucleus of the wrestling universe. That's
it. Really
it is funny how stuff that it's like. I think Joker's thing was pretty universally panned in TNA. I don't think it's looked upon super fondly. But he brings that in AEW. You're like, oh my god, it's Joker's thing. It's so great. Because this is someone I love all versions of Sting, so I'll say I liked Joker's thing, but I also barely watched. So, I was just like, oh, let me see what fucking Sting's doing. Watching clips of that. But I was wondering why Sting's 9 days instead of 11. 9/11. It always comes up.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, good luck, Nick, following that.
Honestly, I loved it, but and then even up until the point where Nana eventually just had this shit scared out of him so much he ran away, and then Sting's just like, wait, oh, he left. Like, I have nobody to talk to. I need somebody to talk to. This is sad. He's like, who's gonna talk to me? And Darby's just back in the ring laughing his ass off. I loved this segment. It was so much fun. Honestly, after the millions of hits that kept coming in the beginning of this show, to have this happen was just so great. And it was a nice little reprieve from everything else that happened.
Yeah. It was a nice breather in a way.
Yeah.
It was a nice breather.
And I feel bad because, like I said, I kind of skipped the match because of that, but this immediately got me right back into the segment.
The match was fine. The match was fine, but the after was what really was the important part of all of it. And man, I love how Sting has a Joker face, and I'm not talking about the face paint, but like he does like this, like,
the facial expression. Yeah,
and that was fun too. That silly face was fun too. But he's got like this kind of face that he does where he like duck faces a little bit, and it's great. And I am really happy that there hasn't been a single moment in Sting in AEW where I'm like, oh, that's Sting. Like every time he's there, I'm happy. Every time he's killing it. And I know there's lots of talk of when he should retire or whenever. If he keeps doing it at this level, fuck it. Keep it going. Genuinely keep it going.
It kind of, Producer Boy has a good point there. Kind of Jim Carrey Grinch. Like if you ever see him do it without makeup, like that's literally, he's literally does the whole thing himself. So it was just a great appearance, and I'm very happy with Sting's doing. James, like you said, he's been great. Let him keep going as long as he wants. I don't care.
One element of it though that I'm thinking long term, and I'm probably just thinking of nothing. If Sting is making this change, I want to see if there's going to be any reflection of that on Darby. Because this whole time, Sting and Darby have really been in sync with how their gimmicks have been looking, how their face paint's been looking, and how they've been behaving. So I'm not saying that necessarily Darby's going to have a character change, but maybe at the very least, we're going to get some very interesting face paint out of him at All In. And I don't know. It's exciting to think that Darby is a character that I don't think needs to change all that much moving forward. But little tweaks, the way Sting has tweaked himself over the years, is what's kept him so fresh. And I would love to see that with Darby as well.
I mean, he could be like Jack Skellington to Sting's. He could just be like that kind of flamboyant, spooky goth,
Yeah.
Darby's an odd for it's crazy. Is that like I love Collision and I watch Collision, but like when I'm watching Dynamite, I really do think of them as
two
separate worlds. I'm like, Darby is feuding for the TNT title. I kind of forgot about that because that's not a Dynamite thing. Why isn't Christian and Luchasaurus on both shows? This is egregious, but whatever. I'm not gonna get on that tangent right now.
I honestly didn't know that, and I've been very checked out of wrestling over the last couple of weekends. And James can attest to the other one, to last weekend. But I didn't know Darby was wrestling for the TNT Championship, so that's awesome. Good for him. Got a lot of place in the air. I also, one last thing on this, I don't want to undersell Prince Nana. He was absolutely phenomenal in the segment. He completely sold Joker Sting. He was great. Okay. Let's move on to absolutely more hilarity. Unless you guys
I just want to really quickly. I understand that notion of ending on like the highest note you can in front of 80,000 fans in a great way. I do absolutely get that. I don't want to see him go yet, though. I'm just not ready for him to go. I think he's just doing so much great work. But I understand the notion that Bischoff was pushing for. I do.
Yeah. Makes sense.
If it was a singles match against Darby, sure. But
yeah.
No, random tag, nah.
All right.
AR Fox, Sting's last opponent. AR Fox.
Okay, let's move on. We then went to another MJF and Adam Cole out on the town vignette. These have been phenomenal. This one was no different because MJF wants to prep for their new Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship match against Aussie Open. So he brings Cole to the one place he knows that will help them prep against them, brings them to Aussie Open's turf, Outback Steakhouse. They do a quick little montage of them ordering and pointing out a blooming onion. And then upon coming out of the restaurant, Max declares that the food is so good, there's no way they're going to win. He starts freaking out and going off, and then Cole just slaps him in the face and tells him to get it together. Cole's like, look, don't worry. I know what we need to do. I have an idea. And they flash to them backstage at AEW, and Cole has the 2-disc DVD copy of Crocodile Dundee and Crocodile Dundee 2. And he's like, we'll just watch this and figure out Australians. And MJF's like, whoa, before we do that, what we need to do, you need to see this video. and he shows Cole a video of two kangaroos kicking each other, and just like, that's how we're gonna win. We have to do a kangaroo kick, and he like tries to do it against the wall, and it's like the weakest, lamest kick ever. And Cole's like, Max, that is the dumbest idea you have ever had. But
I love Max's retort though, because he's like, "What are you talking about, man? This is so over. Are you kidding me? Like already, like."
Yeah, it's already over.
Max is so good at just getting the crowd to cheer for these stupid little things, like sarcastically, and they become so genuine. It's great. But yeah, that was my favorite little detail of that. But he's just like, "Are you kidding me? Do you hear everyone? It's so over." Like, and it's like a pre-tape, so he has no idea what's going on. You know, it's so funny.
All right, the two guys then decide because Nas is
it's to build drama. It's to build drama. If they win, more drama. If they lose, more drama. Either way, it's going to build tension for the main event.
If somebody gets hurt,
I think it's dumb
drama.
that they're doing it, but this week kind of sold me on it because of how good this was.
Also, Producer Boy does make a good point. It does help get people in the building earlier, so you have a packed house for the buy-in. So
yeah, fuck you, Tony. I'm not sitting through your 7.5 hour show. Fuck you.
It starts at 1 though. It's not going to be a late night.
That's a good point.
Well, for the people there.
Well, for me.
Fuck them.
Anyway, the two of them then decide what they need to do is go see some crocodiles. So they set up a kiddie pool and an inflatable crocodile and start watching it with two Crocodile Dundee hats. And Charlie, who I only really know from Sammy's vlog, but I know he does a lot of the prop work backstage, I think. He comes up and he starts flipping out that somebody put all this crap in his hallways. And Max is like, all right, we're going to take him down. The kangaroo kick. And Cole's like, no, it's stupid. And then Max once again, Danny said it's already over. The people love it. And Cole's like, no. Here's what we're going to do. Double clothesline. They go over. They absolutely take Charlie out, knock him in the pool while he's holding the crocodile. They're high-fiving, and they get sent to the principal's office.
This next part was just gold.
So they just get absolutely reamed out by Tony Khan in his office. They walk out very sheepishly. Max goes, you know what? This is going to cost him, man. In 2024, his contract's time, this is going to cost him. And Tony Khan pokes his head back out. He's like, what'd you say, Max? Max like, nothing. Hi, Tony. And he's like, all right, we're cool, right, guys? All right, we're good? All right, great. Here's the kangaroo kick for those of you who didn't see it. He's like, all right, cool. Thanks, guys. Bye. Cole just looks at him and goes, crikey. And Max is like, I was going to tell him off. I swear to God. And they walk off.
I love this. I think this means officially MJF is re-signed already.
Oh yeah,
I have no doubt in my mind now. He is re-signed. So I love that Tony. I love that he had a coffee in his hand during this.
Sit back and take this fucking shit.
I like that he's almost leaning into the hyper insanity that people project on him, or that he projects onto people that projected onto him. But
why was he wearing sunglasses inside?
I just like the fact that he was wearing the sunglasses. Yeah, he was wearing the sunglasses while he was yelling at them, and then he took them off, and it was just normal neurotic Tony. And he's like, "You guys good then? Okay, great, thanks, bye."
Yeah, maybe he's learning from Vince, and he's just like, if I'm gonna be a bad boss, I'm gonna make it a character. He can't control his locker room, but if he projects that on TV that he's controlling the locker room, maybe the pieces will fall into place.
Life imitating art.
He can control his locker room. He can't control Punk's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, before we went to commercial, we did see the two of them pull up in a nice red Ferrari, and they get out, and Max declares that he had far too much Hattie B's and needs to take shit before they do their segment. So Cole breaks the fourth wall, goes, I guess we'll see you guys after commercial, and heads towards the stage. And then we see Roderick Strong come over yelling for Cole. And then what happened? Did his foot get run over?
He kicked the car. He kicked the tire.
His foot.
Because he's leaning into this pathetic little bitch character. And, if you're going to do it, go all in. Like, he already has lost a lot of credibility. So you might as well, steer into the skid and just go full goofy with it.
I don't know if producer boy is being genuine or not, so I don't want to address it yet. But yes, some stuff happened.
Backstage stuff, not elite involved. Well, mostly. Anyway, this then led into the MJF and Adam Cole in-ring promo, which had a very different vibe and was still very, very good. So obviously the two of them come out, do their shtick. And Cole, after, asking if everybody's ready for story time with Adam Cole, baby, he starts talking about how lucky he is that he is not only able to, challenge for the Ring of Honor tag team titles after he was told that he might not be able to ever wrestle again, and that he's challenging for them with a good friend, but he also is going to get to challenge for the AEW World Championship in the biggest main event in history. And he's not only going to compete for that title, he is going to win that title. And he turns to Max and he tells him that he needs to win the title and he will do whatever it takes. MJF literally just cool story bros him and asks who's ready for story time with MJF, baby. And Max then goes into his story about, signing up for the Indies, putting down the two people he wanted, who were his dream match, and them being Cody Rhodes and Adam Cole. And then saying
saying that AEW is the only place where Cody Rhodes is getting booed. Just
after a year of busting his ass, putting, I think he said like 90,000 miles on his new Dodge. He shot a shot when he heard the rumblings of All In. DMs Cody Rhodes and was like, hey, if I would love to be on the show. And eventually Cody hit him back and was like, you're all in. Max had his match. I think he opened the show. He did lose. I think we saw SRS say he needed to avenge his loss earlier. And then that match, though, impressed Tony Khan, who then offered him a contract in AEW when AEW started. And fast forward, he is now a generational talent with an opportunity to main event All In after opening it against somebody who was a day one dream opponent of his. He then turns to Cole and tells him that all of that stuff isn't the most important thing to him. The Triple B, the title, is the most important thing to him because it represents all the blood, sweat, and tears he put in to get there, and a win at Wembley will make him legendary. So the two of them, hit their catchphrases. Max saying he's going to win because he's better than you and you know it. Adam Cole saying, no, the person who's going to win is Adam Cole, baby. And then they're like joking around, dapping each other. And then Aussie Open comes in from the crowd and tries to jump them. They quickly turn it around, though, drive Aussie Open into the corners, take them down. They try to hit double clotheslines on both of them, but Aussie Open's able to avoid both of them, and they clear out. As they're leaving, Max is yelling at them near the apron, and Cole backs up and seemingly sets up for a super kick. But when Max turns around, Cole stands up and doesn't go for it. And then meanwhile, while all this is happening backstage, Roddy is still lurking, watching on a screen and icing his foot. So James, like I said, big tonal shift, but I mean, Marty Scorsese said it best. Absolute cinema. This was just a phenomenal fucking promo.
This was
James,
great.
God damn it, we fucking forgot our thing, how we were never going to let Rev throw to us and we were always going to talk before he threw to one of us to set off his thing, and we botched it this time.
We butchered it. Sorry, guys. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
I love this segment overall. I thought the segment was fantastic, as has been every segment between MJF and Adam Cole. I'm beyond sold for this match. This is an absolute worthy. There is no other match in AEW right now that should main event All In. These two guys have been putting on the best story in the company, and I'm very, very happy with how beautifully this has progressed. I have to believe that even to their idea, this has gone way better than they ever expected it to. I'm not crazy about Cole selling the idea that he was going to turn on MJF. I don't know. It's granted, we do know MJF doesn't watch the show, so it's not like anybody else was gonna. It's not like he's ever gonna understand what happened. It's not like he's ever gonna see it. So that is a good little idea, a little reference. But if you're Roddy and you see that Cole was about to super kick MJF, why are you still pissed at Cole? Like, how do you not see that this has all been just one giant ruse? So there's some elements of it that I'm not really crazy about. And I did like in their exchange back and forth on the mic. Adam said, if there's something I can do to win this title and win this match, I'm going to. And MJF said, I need to more than anything in the world. That was very, by the way, I don't know if it was a direct quote or a direct intentional reference. That was entirely The Rock and Stone Cold going into WrestleMania 17. Austin cutting the promo saying, I need to beat you, Rock. I need it more than you could possibly imagine. More, I think it was more than anything in the world. And that's what this feels like. These two guys are the absolute top of AEW right now. Best storyline, most captivating storyline. Both guys are like faces right now. MJF is a face technically right now. Adam Cole is a face right now. But they're saying, I need this and I will do anything. So I'm very excited for it. I'm expecting somebody to cheat. I'm absolutely expecting somebody to cheat. It's going to be heartbreaking. But this is going to be an excellent match. I am so friggin' hyped for it. I'm all in. But okay, hold on. Oh.
Oh, you
That's
didn't.
so funny. I was going to remove myself, but somebody did it for me. That was who removed me?
It wasn't me. I swear to God.
Danny, was it you?
No, my hands have been here.
Ah,
You said hold on, and we thought you removed your. We were just as confused.
So that means I think Producer Boy did it.
He would never.
Yeah, no, I'm really, really excited, and Aussie Open are going to be great opponents for them. They are beautiful, amazing, awful heels, and they're very athletic, so the crowd is going to get a great match out of them. And low-key, I really want to see that Cole is going to be aligned with the Kingdom. I really want to see him aligned with Roddy and Taven and Bennett, because he needs I think he works best with a group around him, and they are not going to take away from him being the leader. The same way the Guns don't take away from Jay White, like they're going to fit that role for him, and I'm excited. I don't think there is a bad outcome that could come out of this. I think no matter what happens, no matter who wins, no matter how it happens, who's a babyface, who's a heel, we're getting something great out of it. I think it's really hard to mess this up.
There's a chance, but I don't know what it would be. I don't know,
Love
but
the positivity.
I don't know what it would be. I think that's my big thing is I genuinely don't know how they could screw it up, because I can't foresee, because there's so many just possibilities. I can't foresee like, okay, what's the one that I would truly, truly hate? Because there's a lot here, just because there is the dynamic of, well, MJF's always been a heel, and Cole can go either way, and he's been teasing turning on Max. And then there's the whole Roddy and everybody else situation. There's so many different directions, so many permutations of how both of these matches go that I just can't see them all. So I don't know how they fuck it up, because I don't know the option. It's wild, and I think that makes for a very, very compelling storyline.
I think so too. And I know we've all been waiting for Punk and MJF to move forward. I think with the fact that Punk has been inching closer and closer towards being a heel, and MJF really doing well with this face role, I think we might get a babyface MJF versus a heel Punk, which is a good way to keep that feud going and different and fresh. So
yeah,
lots of stuff to come out of this.
You told somebody that a couple, whenever Punk came back and they were first doing the feud, and you said, "Oh yeah, the third match is going to be with MJF as a babyface and Punk as a heel." You would think that person's insane, but I feel like we've been saying that a lot for wrestling lately. Danny, we haven't gotten to you yet. Would love to hear your thoughts on all this. I know I'm not supposed to
what I was gonna say, James was wrong, but I forgot what I thought he was wrong about.
Just generally. No.
Oh, you didn't like. I have no problem with the Cole teasing the kick thing. Their bond ultimately comes from them both being the biggest douchebags on the planet. So I think Cole just is always trying to remind himself that I am I can out asshole this guy. I still have that. I still got it. I'm still one step ahead. Like I still, as much as he has genuinely grown to love MJF, I think he's still trying to keep that 1 foot out the door of like, I can turn on a dime when I need to, because I think he will turn on a dime when he needs to. So I think that's just, MJF doesn't have to do that because MJF is MJF, and we all know he has that in him. But Cole's a little softer now, a little nicer now. So he's trying to remind himself that he still has that dog in him, and that he's still gonna snap at a moment's notice.
I was right.
There you go, James.
There we go.
Well, there it is.
All right.
You
Awesome.
don't usually agree with Raj, but hey, I'll take the win where I can get it.
Who the hell's Raj?
The guy, the tweeter, the Xer.
He's not wrestling like media, but he kind of is, and whatever. He's got a social media presence within wrestling Twitter. Anyway, yeah, I look, I'm excited for all of this. I think just because of all the different outcomes. So curious to see what happens next week. I'm curious to see what happens, obviously, at Wembley, and then I'm curious to see what happens after. So, and I think that's a very, very good thing. All right, Daniel will be back in a second, I hope. But I just did want to point out, we're about at the same time that the show was when this segment ended. We've been on for about an hour and 10 minutes now, and this ended about an hour. Because the vignette was the end of the first hour. So that's how much shit they packed in an hour and 10 minutes. It's wild. But in an effort to try to keep pace, let's move on. We quickly had a backstage interview with Chris Jericho as he was in the medical room being tended to for his, big ass cut. Renee asked him, about basically what the fuck happened, and Jericho is pissed, obviously, and he tells Will Ospreay that he didn't need to attack him in order to get the match. Will was already guaranteed the match after it didn't happen in 2011 due to the pandemic. It was supposed to be in the Tokyo Dome, and obviously due to restrictions, Jericho couldn't get over there. Jericho then issues a challenge to Ospreay for a match at All In on Will's home turf, telling him he has no idea what he's unleashed, and not even a global pandemic can stand in his way of getting Will, which nice little turnaround. And now I'm a little upset Danny left, and hopefully he'll be back in a second, because now we come to this. I don't know how to describe Jeff Hardy versus Jeff Jarrett in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre death match.
All right, we gotta be quick because I don't want him back for this. So
but this was certainly something. Hardy came out, and I have to use Hardy and Jarrett the whole time, which is going to get confusing because Karen was there too.
It's also harder because Jarrett is Karen and Hardy is Matt too.
Yeah, it's a lot. So Jeff Hardy took his entrance all the way through to the ring, down through the crowd, into the bowels of the stadium, where they had this whole Chainsaw Massacre room set up with weapons and red lights. And while he's there cheering his name to nobody, Jeff jumps him, and then Satnam Singh comes in, and then Matt Hardy, Ethan Page, and Brother Zay come in to help, and Karen showed up at some point, and eventually the three guys, Hardy, Page, and Zay, were able to take down Satnam, and they threw him into the bowels of the stadium and hurt him and whatever. And then Matt Hardy dumped red viscous liquid, to make an old reference, onto Jeff Jarrett and Karen Jarrett. And then we went to commercial, and I have no idea what happened. I think they locked up Satnam somewhere. Jay Lethal joined the fray at some point. It was pure chaos. By the end of it, everyone was just hitting finishers and dick shots in the ring. It was just pure fucking insanity. Jeff Hardy did a swanton onto Jeff Jarrett through a table, and that somehow didn't end the match. Eventually, the last two people standing are Jeff Hardy after he hit Jeff Jarrett in the head with his own guitar, and Karen Jarrett, who's just kind of randomly standing there. And then we hear some weird ass fucking music and a fucking chainsaw and Leatherface, or somebody dressed as Leatherface in what was not the best costume, I thought, Comes out.
It was meant to be the old, like the lady version of Leatherface. Not like he has 3 masks in the first movie, and one of them is like
the famous one.
Yeah, there's the famous one. There's the pretty lady, and then there's like the old lady. He was wearing the old lady mask.
Okay, all right. I actually didn't know that, but either way, it was just fucking Leatherface showed up in a wrestling match with a chainsaw. And supposedly this was Jeff Jarrett's doing, but instead of going after Jeff Hardy, he went after Karen Jarrett, chased her up the ramp with the chainsaw. Now, in Jeff Jarrett's favor, this distracted Jeff Hardy, and that allowed Satnam Singh to break out of whatever cage he got put in. He came in, Hardy turned around, saw Satnam try to get away, and as he was trying to get away, Jay Lethal recovered from, I think, a side effect or a twist of fate or something. And he comes in, hits Jeff in the back of the head with a rubber mallet, which would kill a man.
Rubber mallet? That was a hammer, sir. That was a regular metal hammer.
Really? It looked like one of those big-ass rubber mallets.
It was the hammer that Leatherface uses in the movie.
I haven't seen this movie, so thankfully I have you here, who probably has seen all of them. Anyway, either way, hammer, back of the head, very bad for Jeff Hardy. Jay Lethal goes to get Jeff Jarrett's corpse at this point because he got whacked upside the head with a guitar. As Satnam Singh choke slams Jeff Hardy almost through the mat. Jay Lethal lays Jeff Jarrett onto Jeff Hardy, and then Jeff Jarrett wins even though he's unconscious. So, yeah.
I know a lot of people are going to compare this to TNA, which it is. It's very TNA. It's also super WCW. Like WCW, yes. we had RoboCop in WCW. So I look, they had a video game to sell. A video game I'm planning on buying. It's coming out Friday. I will be playing it on Friday. Wow. It's a fever dream of a match, and in 5 years, people are going to be like, do you remember what fucking Leatherface was in AEW? But no, nothing about this match was a match or great or whatever. This was a cinematic thing. This definitely had everyone. Yeah, Jeff was the one who wrestled in it. This was 100% Matt Hardy and Jeff Jarrett putting this together.
Yeah, it's weird because it easily could have been just a branded death match, and it would have been fine. Even like the start of it wasn't like. It was still weird, but it wasn't insane with the red lights and everything. And then once Matt poured that, blood onto Karen and Jeff Jarrett, it just went completely off the rails from there. So I wouldn't call it a top 5 worst segments there, producer boy. I'm not calling it, a worst 5, top 5 worst. I can't read, but I don't think it's one of the worst 5 segments, but it's definitely not one of the best ones. It was just, yeah. Got a kick out of it, though. It should have just been a branded death match, and it would have been fine, and everybody would have enjoyed it.
I don't think it being a Texas Chainsaw. Whatever. I'm past it. I'm over it. I'm game over.
It could have been branded and just have a regular death match, and it would have been fine. Danny, I don't know if I want to ask you what you thought about this match.
The right people won. This was stupid, though. Leatherface looked really dumb waving that chainsaw. Like, that looks so hokey.
It's how he looks in the movie, too. There's
it's not about the actual, look, like the costume.
No.
I'm saying, just the movements.
The look he had was from the first movie, but the movements were very much the end of the first movie and the second movie. The guy did actually a great job of imitating Leatherface. The problem is, it just looks silly.
Yeah, the whole thing was silly, but it's okay. Very, like you said, James, very, WCW back in the day. Yeah. All right, moving on to what was technically an actual match. Dr. Britt Baker, GMD against the Bunny. They were facing off for the final slot in the AEW Women's Championship four-way at Wembley. So, Saraya, Tony Storm, who got a bye, because of a rematch clause, and Hikaru Shida have all already qualified. Honestly, I didn't write a whole lot about this match. It was solid. It was a lot better than Britt's last outing. It ended with Bunny hitting a super kick. Britt turned around and hit one of her own, knocking Bunny to her knees, and that allowed Britt to hit the stomp for the win. Nothing spectacular here. It had to follow an absolute mindfuck of a segment. But I mean, just decent match, guys, and I don't really have much to say about that, other than I'm pretty excited for this 4-way at Wembley.
I just want to say that I feel like it's fitting that the Bunny came out following
Yeah, absolutely.
that match. If there was anyone that enjoyed that previous match, it would have been the Bunny. I just want to say her entrance is always great. And yeah, I'm a fan of the Bunny. I wish she could do more. But I am also excited for this Fatal 4-Way. It's dumb how we got here. Shida had to qualify for her own title defense. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Tony got a bye by losing the title, but Shida, you don't get no bye. You gotta win a match to defend. You gotta defend your title to defend your title. But that's funny. But yeah, I don't know. It should just be. Well, who knows what would have happened if Jamie Hayter wasn't injured? But
I was about to bring her up. I'm so disappointed she's unable to, be at Wembley. Hopefully, she's there in some capacity. I feel like she's going to get a major pop, and she deserves it. So she could just come out with Britt, and I think people would go nuts. So hopefully, she could do something at the show. As for the qualifying was kind of stupid. I'm not going to lie. But I think, I'm still here for it. And honestly, the weird thing I found about this was Britt breaking out her all-in, gear there when what's going on, Navarro? When she could have just broke it out at all-in. You would think that would, you would think that would be the logical place to break it out, James.
You're thinking way too much about this.
Probably.
You're thinking way too logically about this right now.
It's a code.
Like, I think she saw Seth bring out the same gear that everybody remembered for being as iconic as it was during his SummerSlam match with Finn, and she wanted to just replicate that as well.
To be fair, I would say hers is more sentimental and meaningful and probably more memorable for her personally than Seth. Probably didn't even remember what gear he wore against. And he probably had to go check.
Well, it's a good thing you can go check it on Peacock for $9.99.
I mean, isn't it like $4.99 for the?
No, that's like the basic. Yeah, that's the commercial one.
Yeah.
Well,
they raised the fucking price, by the way.
Everything got raised. Every friggin' one.
Just get a VPN and get the WWE network.
Oh, I miss the old network. They had some of the best UI I ever saw.
Just to say, I do agree with Danny. It was stupid how we got here. Not even just with Shida having to qualify for her own title match, but more
right, because that's funny, but it's stupid, but it's at least funny.
Yeah, but it's also every qualifying match was so obvious. Sky Blue versus who was it? Saraya. The Bunny versus Britt Baker. Shida versus Anna Jay. There was not a single match that I was like, I'm wondering how this is going to go.
Yeah, that's true. You could have just put Ruby in the match. What the fuck?
All I can think of for Tony not having to qualify as dodgeball is like, oh my god, we didn't go participate in a regional qualifying match. Like, that's all I can hear.
Oh man, fuck, that movie's been coming up a lot for me recently.
I love dodgeball.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Fun fact: first PG-13 movie I ever saw.
Fun. Yeah, what a fun fact.
And I could probably recite the entire thing to you right now, but we don't have time.
Okay, fine. Okay, could you at least recite to me
when we hit 600 viewers, guys? Nick will recite all
the bar interaction. The bar interaction between him and LaFleur.
I mean, oh, hey, White, I didn't think Nazi Camp got out until 4. Did you guys decide to skip arts and crafts? Yes, we did. The Fatal 4-Way is going to be a fucking mess. Maybe in a good way. I feel like Tony and Sheeta are good enough where they'll be able to direct, because Britt, when she gets a good dance partner, is good. It's Saraya, I think, is the person I'm most worried about with, and that's just mostly because of ring rust. But I'm sure she'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be a lot of her and Tony attacking the 2 other women, and then eventually they'll get in some sort of beef when they try to figure out who's going to be the champ. But I have faith in it. I actually really do. And I think the crowd will be, behind probably, they'll be behind Saraya. They'll be behind Tony. I think they'll be behind Sheeta. We'll see what happens with Britt. So I think it'll be fine.
I would just look, I get it. Okay. Everyone's down on women's wrestling right now, especially the companies that produce women's wrestling.
Oh, God.
But, I'd just like to point out right now that Becky Lynch's lemon t-shirt is the #1 shirt on WWEshop.com right now. So fuck you, Triple H. And yeah, who knows? Maybe this match will be good. Maybe it won't.
Who knew a thirst trap would lead to all that merch money?
It was barely a thirst trap.
Anything Becky posts is a thirst trap. All right, let's move on. We had what was supposed to be.
I think that's a new thing. But
yeah, I think it's. I love Becky Lynch, but she doesn't. I think thirst trap is how you can describe 95% of the women's locker room in WWE and how they post. I don't think Becky qualifies for that category. And that being said, I love Becky Lynch. I think she's more attractive than everyone else, but I think you just protected a lot about yourself there, man. She was wearing a sports bra or a running top.
So anyway, the Acclaimed were supposed to have a match, but that never really happened. They were supposed to face some jobbers. They did their entrance. Daniel, I'll let you get into that in a second. They come down, and while they're getting their gear off, the lights go out. And when they come back on, the jobbers have been replaced by the House of Black because they somehow acquired Undertaker's ability to turn into other people, a la when he took over Seth Rollins. So Malachi has Brody and Buddy Matthews absolutely decimate the Acclaimed. Bowens gets hit with Dante's Inferno, and Caster gets bloodied by his own chain. And at the end, Julia Hart takes Billy's boots and gives them Billy Gunn's boots, just to be specific, and gives them to Malachi, seemingly as a trophy. Danny, I will go to you first, and I know we're trying to avoid that today, but I am going to you because I would like you to rate Max Caster's rap.
Of course. Real quick, though, I'm going to derail things. Bro, I don't want to say anything bad about EO, but get out of here, you fucking weeb simp. What the hell? I simp for Becky all the time. I actually want to go back and take Rev's side. All right, Becky's.
Yeah, I literally just did.
Everything she posts is a thirst trap because we simp for her, but not because that's how she uses Instagram. Yeah, fuck you, Triple H. Also, now that we're backtracking even more. But anyway, yeah, this was a great rap. I really liked the way I liked the tone in his voice when he said penises. There was just something about it that was just he went to put on a flamboyant voice, but he also was chuckling at the same time, and it was just very endearing. Dragoon. It's just everything about you, man. You give off a certain vibe. I don't really know you that well, but I feel like you like a lot of anime, just based on every comment you've ever made.
It's a new thing for him. He used to really shit on anime and weebs in general. Now he has become
now he is a weeb. There you go. So he's always been a weeb, and he was just a self-hating weeb to try to, hide it. I understand now.
You said you would destroy the Sith, not join them in darkness.
But yeah, with this tweet is where I think we're going with this, and I'm all for it. look, we all wanted House of Black to have this long, badass reign, and it hasn't been that. It hasn't been bad. It's just been not always there. But when it is there, it's great.
Because it's on Collision.
No, even then, like, you know, they were like feuding with Andrade, and it's like, that's fucking lame. But
he's gotten better though, man.
To me, if you can't hate on what Punk did and give Andrade, like, you have to give both the pass or neither.
But here's the thing. I don't like
they both assaulted people.
I don't like what either of them did. But if I can compliment Punk, which I do compliment Punk. I absolutely do. Even if it's under like bated breath. I absolutely Andrade's gotten better. Andrade's absolutely gotten
from the top rope.
Also, when you come to NYC, bro, like, you don't live in NYC and you're gonna tell me to stop avoiding you, bro. You're the one hiding in another state. What are you talking about? Get out of here. But anyway, Anyway, point was, it's okay if their title reign ends because it'll be to the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass, who deserves the title more than anyone from DX ever has. He is the best of the whole group, it turns out. I didn't know that 5 years ago. I didn't know that 10 years ago. I didn't know that when the group was around, but I know that now. I've learned that in the modern day, that Shawn Michaels had a perfect game going and he had to wrestle that match in Saudi Arabia. You know how many good matches Billy Gunn has had since that match? A surprising amount.
All of them.
Road Dogg, forget about it. Put his foot in his mouth a long time ago. Road Dogg stumbled so Booker T and Bully Ray could tumble. Okay? This guy set a precedent for wrestlers sticking their foot in their mouth and saying shitty opinions just to get clickbait heat clicks. Triple H, fuck him. Unrelated to the previous fuck him from earlier in this episode. This is an overall fuck him. Never cared for him. Doesn't do anything for me. Billy Gunn. He's just the best of them, it turns out. I want him to win a title in AEW.
Wait, what about X-Pac?
X-Pac's good, but like, he's just not on Billy Gunn's level, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. I like X-Pac.
But X-Pac, yeah, I like X-Pac too. You know, he had the most appropriate reaction to the Fiend Seth Rollins Hell in a Cell match ending on paid WWE programming.
And has barely been back since. Just don't Google him with stage search off, and you're fine.
So we're ranking them right now. It's Billy Gunn, X-Pac, Shawn Michaels. They're like the top, and then I don't even want to rank Road Dogg and Triple H, but I'll rank Road Dogg above Triple H because he's fucking amazing with the promos, you know. And then Billy Gunn, X-Pac, Shawn Michaels, China, Road Dogg, Triple H. There we go. Rick Rude, I got Rick Rude before Triple H, I guess, if we're counting that like early doors thing. But anyway, yeah, I'm into this feud, surprisingly. James, you are somewhere in the middle, I assume?
No, I love it. It's weird because of how long the Acclaimed have been wrestling the House of Black, that like the idea of them winning the trios title feels weird, but at the same time, I love it. There's no other trio right now that feels like it should take the title off them. But yeah. I don't know. The only reason I would want to see House of Black lose the trios title is because I would like to see Malachi doing more singles stuff and maybe put Buddy and Brody in like the actual tag team division. But I'm not, as much as I love the Acclaimed, I'm not going to be heartbroken if House of Black retains either, just because I do think they've been doing a great job with those titles and I love that group. But yeah, just great time overall. Great, good stuff. Good rap. And I miss Daddy Ass. Like Excalibur said it on commentary. It felt weird to hear Bowens doing his everybody loves the Acclaimed. Yeah, the Acclaimed have arrived and not follow it up with Scissor Me Daddy Ass. Just feels wrong.
yeah, like he was doing that for such a long time before Billy Gunn, but
Yeah.
it just became such a staple
Yep.
that it's hard to move back to what
I'm
it used
surprised
to
he
be.
didn't. I'm surprised he didn't do it where like he was about to say it and then
They,
realized that he
they
wasn't
did that
there.
on
They
Collision.
did that on Collision.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Collision doesn't count though, so it doesn't matter.
No, Collision
Man.
counts. Collision's its own great, amazing show.
It is, but it's in a different universe. Just like the stuff that happens in New Japan doesn't affect what happens in AEW. It's the same thing here. You know, Eddie Kingston's the champion in New Japan. He's not winning shit in AEW for a while. So the Acclaim, the Daddy Ass finally beating the House of Black for the Trios title. It would be great. It would absolutely be great. We have a week to get there.
Oh my God, will we even be able to hear Caster's rap with
Nope,
80,000
not at all.
fans?
No,
Like,
Not at all.
No. Oh,
they gotta
honestly,
put the subtitles on the fucking screen.
I am most looking forward to see in what way this British crowd spins, chanting for Daddy Ass.
Yeah.
I know we already have Oh Scissor Me Daddy, and I know that the British crowd always uses Seven Nation Army, but I'm really hoping they mix it up and go with something different. I really am. It's going to be so much fun. All right, let us get to the last segment on the card, which was a match between the Young Bucks and the Guns. This match, I really enjoyed this match. The Bucks attacked the Guns early during their entrance, although, Danny, as you pointed out in our chat, you could see them, so it kind of ruined the
Yeah,
surprise.
it was so cool until I was like, wait a minute, there are the Bucks right there. I'm like, oh.
But it was still kind of cool having the Bucks do the pose in the Guns spotlight there. So I like that. And then, they sent them off the stage after hitting super kicks and did some beatdowns, whatever. But despite the early advantage, the Guns were able to take control. Matt,
Did they acknowledge why the Bucks attacked them first? Was it like
yes, the Kenny
it was for
Hangman
Kenny?
thing? Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Excalibur said, like, you have to imagine that's for Kenny or something like that.
Yeah.
Matt got dominated basically until he tagged in Nick, who comes in and he was just firing on all cylinders after the tag. Eventually, Matt comes back in. They're hitting their classic moves, and they set up for the BT trigger on Austin, but Colton just kind of dives at them and was able to break it up. After a little bit of chaos, Matt gets hit with a 310 to Yuma, but Nick, who was already on the top rope, comes down and breaks that up with a stomp. The Guns then try to steal one with an O'Connor roll by Austin while Colton is holding his hand for leverage, but Nick hits Colton with a super kick. Matt then reverses, and Matt reverses, and he has Austin in the O'Connor roll, and Nick does the same thing where he grabs Matt's hand. Turnabout's fair play. They get the leverage, and that gives the Bucks the victory. After the match, Jay White and Juice Robinson immediately hit the ring. They jump the Bucks, and while they're setting up a chair to take out Matt's injured bicep, FTR's music hit. Got it. And Juice goes up the ramp with a chair. However, FTR came in from the crowd. They take out the Guns, hit a shatter machine, and the Bucks eventually get their shit together, and everybody clears out the ring. As the Bucks have their back turned towards Bullet Club Gold, FTR set up for another shatter machine, seemingly, but when the Bucks turn around, they decide not to hit it. Excalibur explaining that they want to make sure that everybody is 100% going into Wembley so that there is no doubt who is the best tag team. So, guys, like I said, I really enjoyed this match. I think, Danny, you mentioned earlier, like, the Guns are at a good spot in the card now where they're, good tag team in a good stable. They're not necessarily going for titles. And, this being a main event didn't seem weird as it was, a brother-on-brother matchup with two factions who are currently starting a feud.
Good match. I don't care anymore. I want to go to bed. So throw to James. Let him take us home.
Again, it was a good match. It was fine. I'm glad that the Elite still feel like the Elite, even though they're all doing their own thing. And I like that. I like when groups do that. And yeah, man, I'm very excited that Jay White is on Dynamite. That is, I think, like the biggest thing for me.
Twice.
Yeah, twice. I don't watch Collision just because it's hard for me to watch Saturday wrestling. That isn't like once a month for pay-per-views. But I I know Collision is doing good things, and I was joking before when I said it doesn't matter what happens on Collision, but I miss seeing Jay White. I miss seeing like half the guys that are on Collision right now.
Yeah, right.
So I was happy to see them integrated a little bit onto Dynamite, and I think this was now that we're basically at the record-breaking number. I'm fine with them having announced all these matches now finally, and I think tonight did a great job of really setting the groundwork for All In.
Yeah, and obviously, there are a couple of matches. I don't remember when Excalibur was doing the rundown. I didn't hear all of them, but we're getting a few matches on the Collision side as well. I know.
Yeah.
I think Joe challenged Punk for his not title or whatever the fuck it is, and I'm sure there's got to be a few more. Even technically, this House of Black Acclaimed match that's probably coming up is technically a Collision match. So I think All In's starting to really, really look good. I think we'll get one or two more matches, maybe. Obviously, a couple of 0-hour things before the Ring of Honor tag title matches. But I'm excited about this card. I really am. So
I am too.
Yeah. All right. Well, just to wrap things up here, I thought Dynamite tonight was. Well, Dynamite had a very strong first hour and 10 minutes, a lot like us. After that, it kind of started going downhill a little bit until the main event.
Things got weird.
Are you saying the show went downhill and got weird?
Yeah, I thought you got some good matches. The main event was good, but obviously, whatever the fuck happened in that Texas Chainsaw Massacre match,
I don't think it was egregious enough to say that it derailed the show.
No, I don't think it derailed the show. I just think that the first hour, 10 minutes were so good. It was going to be really hard to follow that with anything. That was a frantic pace to the point where I wish they put a couple of things in the second hour into the first to maybe space it out a bit more. And we may be talking about not this show differently, because I do think it was a very good show as we head into Wembley, but I just think it would have been a lot more balanced.
I think that's fair.
Maybe that's my one nitpick about the show, because I truly enjoyed tonight's episode.
I did too. We've been seeing a pattern that every other episode of Dynamite has been great. We had the 200th episode. No, we had blood and Jesus. we had blood and guts. We had blood and guts. Then we had a down week. Then we had the 200th episode. Then we had a down week, and then we had Fight for the Fallen, which, granted, they didn't no way of predicting Fight for the Fallen. But
yeah, they didn't advertise it.
Yeah, this was going to be a good show no matter what. So I'm expecting a light week next week as we go into All In, and then the week after All In, shit's going to be great.
I'm hoping it's not too light, because go home show, but AEW does tend to have a weird pattern of
they do.
2 weeks before the pay-per-view is when shit hits the fan, and then the week before it's kind of light. It does get a little promo heavy, but I think that's on purpose, trying to keep people healthy and stuff. So hopefully some people who aren't on the card can maybe get some shine, have some really good matches, and then obviously set up more promo-wise for the pay-per-view. But yeah, that's kind of been it. Although I didn't think last week's episode was that bad. It wasn't
bad.
As the two was sandwiched in between, but it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't bad. So, Danny, you said you were tired, so I'm going to assume you're good.
Yeah, I'm great.
Okay, cool. All right, and on that slightly lackadaisical note, I would like to thank everybody so much for watching us here at the Mark It Down podcast. Be sure to please like and subscribe. We will have, obviously, next week with All In coming up, we'll have a lot going on with that. Prediction shows will be live after the pay-per-view itself, and obviously we will be doing next week's Dynamite as well. We will also, we also do some episodes when Danny decides he doesn't hate Triple H as much anymore. Maybe he'll start reviewing Raw again. And James does the Impact Zone on Thursdays, going over Impact and anything big that happens on Ring of Honor. Be sure to check out all of our...
When does he do that? He hasn't done it in just as long as I haven't done it.
Absolutely not as long, but it's been... I missed like 2 weeks, I think.
I have more than 2 weeks.
I occasionally miss the show as well, so it happens to all of us. As I was saying, be sure to check out all of our social media stuff in the description below. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Danny does a great job over on the Instagram. A lot of good memes, so be sure to check him out there. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's still Twitter. Fuck you. If you want to follow us over there now, I will be live tweeting all in when the show happens. So if you want to follow us along for that, it's fun. It's fun. And you got get a lot of my thoughts while they're happening in real time. So unless anybody has anything else before we go,
good episode. And Evil Dead the game is still just gonna be a better game than Texas Chainsaw Massacre the game. And I hope that once people get Texas Chainsaw Massacre out of their system, they come back to the Evil Dead community. Nothing is unfortunately ever gonna beat Dead by Daylight. It doesn't matter though. Yes. And Saber, please announce a goddamn update for Evil Dead.
You know, I really wish that Kevin from our chat's brother was awake right now, because I would call him to verify all this horror nonsense you're spewing out. But he's not awake, so I cannot call him. But
Freddy or Jason in his living room? I forget which one.
Nope, neither.
Michael Myers. But this Halloween, Party City got the rights to Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Evil Dead. So Evil Dead, I'm going to be getting a new thing for the wall, and Michael might be going out of commission, out of the cycle, and Leatherface might be replacing him. We shall see.
But how many horror tattoos do you have?
So far, none. I am getting an Evil Dead tattoo soon.
Is it the Necronomicon or whatever it's called?
I'm gonna get the chains. I'm gonna get the chain. I'm gonna get the chainsaw, but like on the blade, in blood, it's gonna say groovy.
Sure, I don't get it, but sure.
I like that. It's what's your man's name? Why can't I think of his name, James?
Because you drank too much.
The Evil Dead guy.
Oh, Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell, thank you. I could not remember I could only think of his name from fucking Burn Notice.
Sam Axe is an amazing character.
Yeah. Speaking of amazing names, my name is Nick Cummings. For Danny Hernandez, producer boy behind the scenes, and James Asante, thank you so much for watching us here at the Market Down Podcast. Have a good night, everyone.